Coach, one of the things that really stood out to me about that USC game was the amount of trust you had in Anthony Brown in very difficult circumstances. Talk about what he did to earn your trust leading up to that game.
Yeah, Anthony's a very talented player. He's got a lot of experience at this level, and done a very nice job at Boston College. And quite frankly, he's done a real good job here. We game planned during the week that AB was going to be our goal line quarterback and our short yards quarterback, and we held true to that during the course of the game and made the most of his opportunities. I thought he did a really, really nice job.
Kevin Wade, 247 Sports.
Come to a little bit earlier of last week, you guys signed quarterback Ty Thompson and some talented wide receivers. What do you feel like you're getting in those players?
No, and I think Coach hit on this very well. From the quarterback perspective, you want to, bring a guy in who can beat you with his brains, his arms, and his legs. And obviously, Ty could do all three of those things. His work ethic to me is something that's very, very impressive. You call the guy or text the guy, he's always either going to a throwing session or leaving or lifting, things like that. So he's a guy that's committed to the preparation aspect of the position. Obviously, he can run, he can throw. He's led his team to back-to-back state championships. And you look at the bevy of playmakers we're bringing in at all the skill positions and our line, quite frankly. It's going to be exciting to work with a lot of those guys.
Ryan Thorburn, register guard.
Joe, it sounds like Sean Dollars is a guy that's been performing well in practice for the last year since the Rose Bowl. Was it nice to finally unleash him? And also, do you expect CJ Verdell back for the Fiesta Bowl?
Yeah, to see Sean come out and perform really well with his opportunities was I don't want to say a pleasant surprise because like you said, we had seen that throughout the course of camp and during practice. So for him to do it on a big stage in such a pivotal and important game, that was great to see. And I was happy for Sean, and Coach Master does a great job, rotating those guys in and out of there based on the play or their skill set. So yeah, Sean's a guy with a ton of talent. Did a really, really nice job, and it was great to see him finally be a nice performance on game day. And with CJ, I would defer that. I know he's hammering along doing the thing he needs to do, but we'll take that day by day.
Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
I think, Joe, it's probably fair to say Tyler's not consistently playing at the same level he was to start the year. How do you get him back to that level, and are you open to playing maybe Anthony a little bit more in this bowl game?
Yeah, I'd say that the second half of Cal, and for parts of this game, I know there were two throws that we want Tyler to have back there. We just gotta get him playing with confidence, and that comes from preparation and having a good week of practice. And he made some really nice plays. There were certainly some that you say you wish you had back, but really didn't ask them to do much from a throwing perspective throughout the course of the game. And that was based on a lot of game plan stuff that we did. So we just need Tyler to continue to perform well during the course of a week of practice and kind of get some of that confidence back that he had, outside of, the second half of Cal.
Julian Minnesota, KZI.
Joe, given the last few weeks and how they went with having to prepare for 3 different opponents, now that you know who you're facing and having a little bit more time to do so, how nice is that? And your early thoughts on the Iowa State defense?
Yeah, we kind of got a first look at them this morning after we got done watching our game as a staff, and giving up around 21 a game, I believe. Play an odd stack or odd front with that 3 safety look. It's rather unique. 9 in the front, 23 the linebacker. I know Isheem Young's a kid from Pennsylvania that we recruited when I was at Penn State, along with the running back Breesy Hall, who I know that's not what we're talking about, but he's a very good player too. But yeah, they present a unique set of challenges based on their front, the pressures, and how many safeties they play with, and the amount of ways that they can disguise coverage and things like that. So definitely a unique challenge from a schematic standpoint.
James Krepke, the Oregonian.
Joe, to go back for a minute, I think I'm not somebody who's looking to get the hook for a quarterback, but
right.
When fans hear about, oh, well, the backup is in for goal line and short yardage and 4-minute, those are pretty critical situations to hear, the backup is the better option. So they hear that, and, that they hear kind of 2 things. How much of, like you're talking about with confidence of Tyler to get back in those specific situations into the passing game, how much of it was called passes that turned into broken plays or runs, because it looked like there was a lot of called runs, but also ones that he had no choice but to run because the rush was getting to him.
Yeah, there were way more called runs than there called passes, and I think a lot of that had to do, quite frankly, with USC and what they do defensively. And I think the world coach Orlando, I think he's one of the best in the business. But they did some things from a coverage standpoint that were, in a lot of ways unique. That was hard to really diagnose pre-snap and post-snap what they were doing, and we essentially started an empty almost every play of the game just to kind of try to get them out of some of the pressures and do some of those things. But I guess getting to your question, I'm a guy that I think we're second in the league maybe in throwing heading into that game, somewhere around there. And as an ex-quarterback, I love to throw the ball, and particularly down the field as much as the next guy. But sometimes you have to do what's best for the team in a certain circumstance. And for us in this game, how the defense was playing, how we were opportunistic, taking advantage of field position and things like that. It was a game that required me to, be more focused on the run than the pass. And I guess going back, that I think that's playing time that Anthony earned through what he did and what he's capable of doing rather than what Tyler wasn't doing. So I guess that's the best way to answer that one.
AJ.
Coach, I don't know how much you've had a chance to look at Iowa State yet, but the little I've seen of them, I think it's strange that they have this odd front they run on defense. Yeah, they're so good against the run. How are they able to do that?
We're going to have to dive a little bit deeper. Like I said, we just started on a little bit this morning. I've watched 3 full games so far. We haven't really gotten to the cut-ups, but, haven't gone against this style of defense in the past. When you talk about the run game, it's numbers and angles, you know what I mean? And identification of the front, who the line's pointing out, which safeties are dropping into the box to be the run fitters, where they're pressuring off the edge, all those things designed to create uncertainty and confusion for the offensive line and the running backs. I would say that's probably the biggest thing that I've seen is the multiplicity of their scheme, relative to how many different second and third level defenders they're able to fit into the front.
Ryan Thorburn, register guard.
Joe, how do you think the team's doing just from a mental health standpoint, just getting through this season and probably not being able to go home for the holiday? And then, how have you found them? Are they upbeat about the challenge and see the finish line, or are you concerned about, getting them through the holiday?
No, we just got to have a team meeting, and the players are incredibly upbeat, particularly when you're playing in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, and there's obviously things that come along with that that you get as a player. So those are all particularly positive. But no, I mean, that's what we talked to the offense about on Friday night, that, a lot of players and coaches go through their entire career and never have a chance to play for a championship. Talk to them about this I've done it 4 times at 4 different schools, and this would have been my fifth chance. And all the rings I have on the front of my desk, and every single one of those rings tell a different story. That they had a chance to write a chapter in their story where they look back on this, 5 years from now, 10 years now, 20 years from now, and they're talking to their kids or to their families, that it's a story it's unprecedented, really. And for them to battle through the things that they have, not having a season, having a season, not sure if you're going to the game, having games canceled, for them to be able to be steadfast and kind of committed to the culture, but committed to the culture that coach has created here. It's a one where we didn't play all the number of games, but I think it's one that we'll look back on this season and this championship probably with a lot of gratitude as years go by.
Randy Peterson, Des Moines Register.
Coach, what was the recruiting process with Rose and Brees Hall back when you were at Penn State? What was that like?
Isheem Young, not Rose.
Oh, Isheem. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay,
I wasn't on that side of the ball. I wasn't on that side of the ball with Isheem, but Breesy, I know as a running back, we tried to recruit him, and he obviously ended up picking Iowa State. But I just remember seeing his film and really thinking he's a heck of a ball player and would have been a good fit at our scheme there. And obviously decided to stay out that lane. He's had an unbelievable year. He's an excellent player.
James.
Joe, you mentioned just schematically what USC was doing in terms of enticing the run. with the box count the way it was and just how, I guess, appealing it was, as productive you guys were, do you feel like there were sometimes a couple of plays, particularly from, I think, Sean's first one, the 15-yarder, that probably could have gone for even more?
Could have spit out a little bit more yards.
Him or an offensive lineman engaging a little earlier could have opened up that hole a little bit, I think.
Yeah, there were, you talk about running through arm tackles or sustaining blocks and finishing. And I've always said this: you'd want to turn short runs into long runs and long runs into touchdowns. And swing pass out there that maybe if we had caught, and a couple of quarterback runs too. That I think it was a productive day running the ball, but with a little more finish, a little better reads, some other things that could have turned it into an even better one against a very stout run defense.
Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
Yeah, Joe, with no spring football and the offseason that you guys had, how just important is it from a long-term perspective to get these 2 weeks? I know you're not going to practice every single day, but just more time to prepare so you're building on for next year as well.
Yeah, I know Coach mentioned today in the team meeting, usually you have 4 weeks, after the last game prior to the bowl game, where you use that from a developmental standpoint, where you're getting a lot of good work, you're getting a lot of young guy work and preparing for the opponent. You lose a little bit of that time, but yeah, like you said, 4 spring practices. Not sure what was going to happen with the season. Kind of, I won't say an abbreviated fall camp, but you didn't have the same amount of hours that you normally get with walkthroughs and things like that. So, very proud of what obviously the team and the offense has been able to accomplish, this year, and with a new scheme and new quarterback and 5 new starters, losing Panay. Any rep that we can gain additional that we normally have is valuable for our short-term and long-term development. So I'm excited about having 2 weeks to prepare for our opponent, but also the additional time that you have to develop some of our younger guys and see them continue to improve.
Last question, Kevin Wade.
Hey, Coach, what was it like to see Cale Millen? I know Cristobal talked about it after the game, but Cale making tackles and plays on special teams. What's it like for you to see one of your backup quarterbacks being all over the field?
Yeah, I mean, he's even run some scout team receiver during practice and made some really, really nice catches. And Cale is a phenomenally gifted athlete. He can do a lot of things: big, strong, fast, physical. He has great hands. But I think he's a consummate team player, and I know Coach has talked about that. Anytime you have a guy, particularly at the Power 5 level, at a place like Oregon in the Pac-12 that was recruited to play quarterback, that's able to kind of check his ego at the door and do what's best for the team, I think it speaks volumes for Cale and also for the culture of our program. I was excited, and he comes in the room, and we'll meet, and then special teams meeting will be kind of coming up, and he has to check out of our meeting a little bit early, and he's excited about it because he sees it's his chance to get on the field and play, contribute.
Appreciate your time, Coach. Have a good Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys. Be safe. God bless you. Go.